Hello, and welcome to the Masterpiece Ministries podcast, hosted by me, Abbey Burnett. This podcast exists to share stories of the transformation of God's people, his masterpieces. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." My prayer is that you learn more about the love and faithfulness of God through the stories you hear from regular people just like you. Now, let's tune in and listen to this week's story. Enjoy!
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Masterpiece Ministries podcast. This is your host, Abby, and as you can tell, we have upgraded our podcast studio. We're in a new location. We got video. Some awesome things are happening, and I'm really excited about our episode for this week because I have a new friend who is joining us today. So we have Gina here on the podcast today. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
I know. Are you so excited?
I'm so
yeah,
excited.
but also we're nervous.
I know.
That's okay.
That's okay. It's okay. God's got it. Got it.
Yeah. So Gina and I, okay, so let's think about how do we know each other?
Yeah.
We met when I was church. My family was like church hunting.
Yeah.
Right? Is that we met at Mosaic?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So we met at a church together when my family was trying to figure out where to go, and we met in like a youth group setting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's you were more friends with my sister.
I was friends with Emily, yeah, and friends with you too. But we
How
were
old
like
are you
we're
again?
similar. I'm my Atlanta. I'm 27.
Okay. You're younger than me.
Yeah, I'm like between you guys.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
that's kind of how it started.
Sweet. So yeah, we were in youth group together, and then we just kind of became friends. But I think like my most like significant memories are the beach.
Yeah, I was gonna
My
say.
family goes to the beach every year. We usually bring a friend with us and things like that. And so one year I brought my friend Danny, who was actually already on the podcast, and then Emily brought you,
Yep.
and it was so weird.
So yeah, that trip, I just remember like us doing, that's like when planking was cool, and we do like planks on like crazy planks. They're like whatever, and we were
We did the salt.
yeah,
The
we would
salt
do
challenge.
challenges,
Like, oh, we even like stick an ice, a salt and ice cube on our hands, and then like see who could like last the longest. I think we did the
Terrible.
cinnamon challenge.
We got like cool story bro.
Oh, that's cringy.
Should have worn
The
those.
cool story bro
Yeah.
t-shirts
Tell it again.
at Sensations. I remember we bought
So
those.
fun.
Was that a year that we talked in accents? Because we've had a few years we've talked in like accents all week long for whatever she's trained.
You're fun.
Yeah, so yeah, we hung out a lot that week. There's pictures of us. I'll have to post a picture of us from that trip with on the Instagram and things like that. So yeah, awesome. So Gina's here to share her story and talk with us today. So we like to start out with gratitude. So what's something that you've been grateful for?
Yeah. You know, we were kind of like doing a rundown like right before we started, and the question I kind of forgot about that we did this. So I was like, what comes to mind? But something I'm really grateful for is the new friendships that God's kind of like brought into my life recently. And it's like, you think of like best friends and stuff, and it's like, yeah, there's some that are like, you know, from childhood, but then there's also some friendships that like come later in life that like really are impactful and like just like really true friendships. So yeah, I'm thinking of one specifically, but just one that I'm really grateful for that God brought into my life. So yeah, friendships.
This morning, in my journal, every morning I write down like 5 things that I'm grateful for. And today, so I have these birds that are nested in my AC window unit in my house. Yeah. And 7:15 on the dot every morning. Chirp, chirp.
Oh no.
Chirp, chirp. Oh no. Whether it's a school day, whether it's a weekend. And so like today I was so excited to sleep in, and then I hear these birds chirping to wake me up, and they're in my AC unit. So they like echo in my room.
Oh my gosh.
And normally I'm like really annoyed by it.
Right.
But today I was like, Abby, I'm so grateful to be able to live in a space where you can like hear birds. And like at my Bible study the other night, we were talking about the verse of like, if God takes care of the birds, like he'll take care of you, etc. And so it reminded me of that verse, and it was just like peaceful and an easy way to wake up. So yeah, I was grateful to be woken up by birds.
I just love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're here to share your story, and you have quite a story.
God, has done a lot.
Yeah. So we might have to bring back Gina for a second.
I'm like, okay, what time can we cut in like 40 minutes? Or how long? 30 minutes.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
I was going to say, I'll kind of touch like a little bit about childhood just because I think it.
Sure.
The biggest part of my story is really from like, I'd say 2018, 2019 to current. That chunk of times really when God's made a huge impact in my life. But, you know, from the beginning, I grew up very similarly to you, like in a faith-based home. My parents were very much like really great representations of what it means to be like parents with trying to raise like, you know, Christian kids and, you know, having a faith-filled home pretty much. And yeah, so I'd say growing up, we had like a really good childhood. I'm very blessed with the fact that we've had like a really great childhood. But I think where like kind of the devil kind of like got his foot in the door in our family is through mental health and through just things that our family had to battle and like truly battle like together, go through it together. But it would be through mental health, like in our family, without sharing other people's stories, just because that's again podcast for But you know, there's diagnosed OCD, diagnosed depression, ADHD, Asperger's, autism, generalized anxiety. Like that's all in our family. Pretty much
a little mix and pot of everything.
Yeah, let's just all tackle it together. So growing up, like I kind of being the fourth born, saw my family struggling, saw everyone else going through their things while still going through my own things. So I would say I was very much like an anxious kid, just in general, but still trying to like just get through it myself because they all got enough to worry about. They don't need, I don't want to add to it.
Yeah.
I would be like,
if I was to be quiet and just go with the flow and
like my mom like mentions a story about like I was like 6 years old, got a nosebleed in the middle of the night and I just like took care of it myself and like went back to bed and there's like a trail like all down the hallway. Like don't worry about, oh my God, like I'm self-sufficient, so fun. But honestly that mindset was pretty much my whole life, like until it became like, girl, you're not fine, like you need help. And so anyways, that's kind of growing up. And I guess when it became apparent that I was struggling, like in junior high, and I think you even know just from us being friends back in the day, but like I remember switching schools and being in 6th grade and like just shows that like I was a kid struggling with things that I just didn't understand, but I had to go to the guidance counselor because I just couldn't stop thinking about suicide and like dying or like freeing myself from my brain. Like I just couldn't make sense of it. I was a kid. And like now looking back and like being a mom myself, I'm like, that's so sad that like a 6th grader has to worry about that, you know? And like, thank God for that guidance counselor too, because she did like made such an impact. And she was like, we're calling your mom. We're going to connect you with these places and these groups.
That's great.
So 6th grade was when I started at a very young age going to therapy. My mom was a huge advocate. She's literally like an angel on earth because she went through her own stuff. So she was like, nope, getting all my kids help, no matter how much it costs, no matter how, you know, what we need to do.
Sure.
Anyways, just super thankful for her. So I would say I started therapy at a young age, 6th grade. And like, I still go to therapy now. So like, therapy's always been like been a thing in my life.
You are a committed attendee.
I've seen Abbey. I know where to go, where not to go.
Hey, if you need therapy.
Yeah, I got you. Got referrals. Hit me up. But anyways, so so from once I kind of mellowed out, got like a handle on life, life was pretty chill. Like I enjoyed being involved in sports and hanging out with friends and did kind of like the norm growing up things. But still God was present in my life, but maybe not on the forefront for a while. So then, end of high school, I guess, jump forward, I decided I was very much like all or nothing type of girl. So like, I was like,
and black or white.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go to hair school. I know I want to do hair. I'm going to go to hair school. So all my energy just went towards that. So like still living on this high for a while now. And then I ended up meeting this boy while in hair school, and
It's always how it starts.
always how it starts.
I met a boy.
And, you know, still like this whole section of life, I feel like was more just like the high of life right now. But I met this boy and we bonded because we were very much similar wavelengths of life. Like he's like, I'm going to be a cop and I'm going to go to this police academy soon. And I was like, I'm going to open my own salon. And we were like, we got
Dream
life.
team.
Yeah. Whatever life.
Check.
Like come at us. And like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Careful what you wish for. Yeah. I'm like, did life come at us or what? But anyway, so life was cool. Life was good. We got married in 2017. And we were babies, but like we knew, like we were like,
yeah,
we got it.
Yeah.
And I still say like we got it. Like it's all that life's happened with us. Like we still just have really, yeah, it's just wild. But yeah, so then 2017 happened and he actually ended up getting, so this is kind of where God like starts coming in a little stronger because things started happening and I started realizing like, okay, like,
yeah, I can't do this on my own.
Yeah. And so 2017 happened. He got his first back injury. So he was out of work for a while. He needed a back fusion. We were babies and he needed a back fusion, was out of work. I was like, I got it. I can carry us. Like, I'll work 5, 12-hour days. Like,
oh my God,
I got it.
I'll
like,
kill myself.
Still in this like mindset of just like, I can handle it.
Me.
Like, you say something like in previous podcasts about like pride and like just knowing that. And that very much is something I struggle with too. But
same girl.
Yeah, just anyways, thinking I got it. And so we tackled that hurdle. We were good for a while. Definitely both of us working like crazy. Just like on our own goals that we wanted to tackle together. And then around 2019, we were not trying for a baby at all. And 4th of July comes and I was like, I'm like crazy about hot dogs right now. Like all I want is like, what's the hot dog for me? And I just remember my sister-in-law being like, girl, are you okay? And like, something is concerning right now. Like, I don't think this is normal. And so I took a pregnancy test because I'm like, this is weird. Like,
I've never craved hot dogs.
Yeah, like the obsession was just concerning. Like, it was so weird. And sure enough, like that line came on so quick. I was like, oh my gosh, this hot dog baby, like, what's going on? And so like we're freaked out because we were not trying.
Yeah.
Very much in the way of thinking where, like I was talking about, just like our goals are
right, like your plans.
Things. Like, wait, we're gonna be parents. Like we were not. That was not on our agenda. But then obviously like the excitement, it quickly changes because like you're gonna be parents. Like that's amazing. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So we were super excited. And everything was normal for a while. Like with exams, everything was normal. Like I never thought I would be one to like have a loss, or I didn't even really couldn't really wrap my head around like just even how common it is. I was just very, what's the word, like
assured, like confident, like
confident, but
not gonna be me.
Or like I don't want to say, just uneducated. I don't know.
Sure.
Whatever. I just didn't think it would be me. But then we were having our 20-week anatomy scan. So like halfway, I was actually further than that. I was like 21 weeks. And we go into the office. We think it's going to be like a boy or girl. They're like saying what to expect. Like it's going to be 40 minutes long, like blah, blah, blah. Do our anatomy scan. And it was very apparent that something was wrong just based off of the sonographer, like,
body language,
and looking at the screen weird, or like, it was like maybe 8 minutes, like it was not 40 minutes. And so they're like, we can't see if it's a boy or girl. So I'm going to have the doctor just come to talk to you. And I was like, oh, it's because it's in a funny position.
Right.
Still very naive, like chugging water, like not sure what I thought I was doing, but like pushing my belly around. Like,
don't worry, I'll fix it.
Don't worry, I'll fix it. Like, let me talk to him real quick. Like, and the doctor comes in the room, and at the time she thought maybe the baby's organs were developing outside of its body. Something, they called it something very rare. And they needed me to go to the specialist's office. So this whole time I'm like thinking, okay, this still might be fixable. Like maybe they can somehow do some in utero surgery. I don't know. Like, still naive. So I'm going to the specialist office, and they like want me to go now. Like it's now. And I go to the specialist office, still like, I don't know what I thought chugging water was going to help, but I'm like chugging water in that waiting room. Like, and they had me filling out like 20 papers. I'm like, can this wait? Like, let me go be seen. So anyways, I go in the back, and the sonographer and the doctor are looking, and they know like immediately what it is. And they're like, okay, so the organs aren't outside of its body. Like, and they just say that because they're looking. I'm like, oh, praise God. Like, thank God he answered my prayers. Like, he knew I couldn't handle that. And I remember the doctor just like pushing my hand down, being like, no, honey, hold on, because it's worse, or like something like that, just to like help me not get excited. And like everything kept going through my brain, like, oh, God won't give me this. He knows I can't handle it. Like, God won't give me this. Like, God knows I can't handle that. Which I'll touch on that later, but that's, yeah, he did allow that. And they found out that my baby had what they called at the time, they changed it now, but Potter syndrome, which basically he didn't develop any abdominal organs. He had no kidneys, which meant I had no amniotic fluid. I was in the process of actually going septic, or septic. If I continued with what was going on, I would likely become septic.
Wow.
I was okay at the time being, but other things going on in utero was concerning to them. And so basically they're telling me all these things. He had like partial of a heart, partial of a brain, but like basically no organs. And I had no fluid, and things that were going on with me were concerning. So anyways, I remember being like, well, shoot it to me straight. Like, you're telling me all these things I'm not understanding.
Right.
So just
stop talking doctor.
Stop talking. And is he going to survive or not?
Yeah.
And they're like 0% mortality rate. There's no chance. And you're at a very increased risk, and we have to pass the baby. And like them just telling me that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at a screen right now that's a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm still feeling him flip.
Oh,
and so you're telling me like I'm not going to be able to have my baby that right now I see on the screen.
That's wild to think about.
And so basically, yeah, the only thing really, I don't know. I struggle with a lot of things with all of this, just wrapping my head around. But what I had to do the next couple of days was what was really hard to work through, just because, I saw a baby, and it was just, yeah. Anyway, so there were options, but there was definitely an option that they felt I had to do, and in my heart of hearts, I felt like I had to do if I wanted to continue having babies. And he wasn't going to make it. It was too far gone, and so anyways, I decided to just go home, and I wasn't deciding anything. Sure. I was like, I'm talking to God, and I don't care if I'm putting myself at risk the next couple of days. I'm not deciding right now. And so I just remember driving home and just like screaming, like full on screaming. Like,
people next to you are like,
yeah. My husband was driving, and I'm just like, thank God for him, because he's like, it's okay, get it out. It's okay, get it out. Yeah. And he's like, honey, I know like this is so hard, but like I also need you. Like, we lost our son, and we found out he was a boy later through genetic testing, but we lost him, and like I need you now. And so like we have to get through this. Like, that's the only way we're going to. Yeah. If we stay, getting through it together. And so I still took a couple days. But one day, kind of where God made his voice known, is I was driving, and I was just like, Lord, let me just make it very apparent the plan and the way you want me to handle this situation, because I know what I feel. And I just want to make sure it's also what you feel too is okay, just because, yeah, just a lot of ways with passing him I was struggling with, trying to figure out the right way, I guess. And so I just remember screaming, also praying this prayer in my car, and
praying.
That's like maybe just a trait of my life.
You invented something new.
He hears me. It's great. But while I'm saying, like, give me a sign I cannot deny is you, because I'm so caught up in all the noise right now. Like, just give me a sign I cannot deny is you, that I'm doing the right thing, and that it's going to be okay. and like almost challenging him. Like,
Yeah.
I need
Give me what you got.
so clear.
Yeah.
Because my brain's so anxious and so full of all these things. Like, I need you to.
Yeah, and hearing all these different people, I'm sure people's voices in your head. What's this person going to say? What's this person going to think? And am I going to get judged for this? Am I going to get,
Yes, nailed it.
Yeah, no one is living in your situation and knows what you're like.
Right. And that's literally what God, and chills because that you just said that, because that's what God made it very apparent. He was like, first, people are going to think I'm like crazy when I say this next part, but I challenged God. My radio flickered, and there was a festival going on in our city that day, and a balloon like shot up over my car, but it was very bizarre how it shot up. And it was a balloon going on in the festival, but it was enough to like take my attention. And I don't know, like I don't know, Jesus, what you with that, but like whatever it was, it caught my attention, and I just felt like peace all of a sudden, and like feeling like, okay, God knows my heart. Like, God knows my heart. He's, at the end of the day, when we're all going to meet our maker, like, he is the man on Judgment Day, not Sally Mae or Mary, whatever. Like, God is the one that knows our heart.
Sorry if your name's Sally or Mary.
Sorry, Sally or Mary. Personal. But
You're not the judge.
You're not the judge. God is. But yeah, so I was like, okay, like we got it. And so, yeah, I called the doctors back, and together, just figuring out all the plans. Like, and there's plenty of different methods and ways that I could have passed him, but I felt most comfortable with going to this hospital in DC because they had a way of passing him that I felt most comfortable with things I believed, and then just things, comfort for me. It's a 2-day procedure, basically starting labor, and then I was put under, and they took him. But another, love, I call it like Jesus tap or whatever, was my gas mask where I was put under kind of slipped off after I delivered him, because they put me under I didn't want to be, it was my own preference, but I didn't want to feel that trauma. I was already going through so much. And so, he was born, and I heard them around his bassinet say his time of death and when he passed. And then they put my gas mask back on, but it was like weird that I would like experience that still.
Wow.
And so I find peace a lot in that, because I just remember feeling like, okay, he's with Jesus. Like, I got
they kind of gave you like,
and he's with Jesus now. So yeah, that's a chunk of a story.
Wow.
Yeah. But the days following, I, through all of this too, I found I was very open to, like love hugs from Jesus, or like signs from God, just because like when you're in such a low, it's like you see what's on the other side of that low. Like you see the darkness and the grief, and like if you continue down that path, and like that scared me, because I saw it, I felt it, and so I was like open to, I guess, receiving some of it, just because like I wanted hope, I wanted to get through it, I wasn't ready to give up, and like different little things through all of it that God kind of carried me. But Psalm 23 is a big one, because we decided on Jordan, our son's name, because at the time, until they did testing, we didn't know if it was a boy or girl, because he wasn't developed, and just things that happened. And we decided Jordan, and we were driving to the hospital to deliver him, and my husband's like, Michael Jordan's number is 23, and that how you came up with his name? I never knew how weird that I'm delivering on my 23rd birthday on October 23rd. Like, we kept seeing all these 23 things. Like, I'm delivering him on my October, 23rd birthday on October 23rd, and then Jacob's like, Michael Jordan's number's 23, and then my recovery room was 23. And then like all these weird 23 things. And then later, without knowing, my mom says that a family member, she was like, oh yeah, so-and-so was really praying Psalm 23 over you while you were in surgery. And I was like, okay, I'm not super familiar with this verse, but like, I'm going to start.
With it.
Like,
it was,
hear it.
Yeah. And all in your face.
Yeah. And, so anyways, that verse kind of was like something that really, with the years to come, has really like carried me. And I almost feel like, okay, that's been a big, like I guess a big lifeline.
Yeah.
So, years coming, I definitely submitted myself more to God. but still like work in progress, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I'm still trying
As we all are.
to battle. Yeah. And still I am now.
Yep,
But
yep.
just, I'm trying to battle this grief that I'm not sure how to face. And it's also COVID's now going on. And I became crazy about getting pregnant again because I was like, I was ready to be a mom. I'm like obsessive. And I'm so thankful that we did. We got pregnant with Jasmine shortly after. But then like her pregnancy wasn't easy. I ended up delivering her at 34 weeks because I had preeclampsia and borderline stroking and just
My word.
yeah, it's like a lot, like we just said. But again, delivering Jasmine in an emergency section, and I'm just screaming Psalm 23 in the OR.
Like, they're like, this girl's crazy. Like, this is a new one. We never had someone scream the Bible before.
Just like chanting Psalm 23 because my blood pressure is spiking. They're pulling her out.
Gosh, yeah.
And then she comes out not breathing. And I'm like, this is
You're like, not again. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just screaming Psalm 23, like literally punching in the OR, like ready. My husband's like laying across, like, man, got her, like, she's fine. She's fine. Like, she'll get through it. But yeah, the anesthesiologist, when I woke up, was like, you're a praying family. Like, I love that. Like, you're a praying family. I'm like, yeah.
Like, you can say that.
I'm not sure my method is always the best, but you know, we get there. But yeah, so yeah, like Jasmine's delivery was kind of crazy, but I still was trying to just like give it all to him.
Sure.
And but my mental health at this point after Jasmine plummeted pretty steep. Like it kind of hit the point. I was trying to kind of meet with therapists to talk about trauma, and it wasn't all making sense at this point. So again, I just gave it all to work. And then this is probably around 2021 at this point. I'm pregnant again with Jensen now at this point. And I was still working, and there was a day, September 11, 2021, I went to work, and it was like full body. The last 3 years just like hit me like as soon as I walked in that door, and I was like, I am not supposed to be here right now. Like, I think I'm done here. Like, this is not where God wants me. And so don't know if I dealt with it the best way, but I canceled my day and I decided I was closing my shop, and I went to my mom's house because I just didn't want to drive home. And on my way home after my mom's house, I'm going down the interstate. There's an accident going southbound. I'm going northbound. Accident just happens like to my left. And it was clearly a state trooper that got hit. And I remember just thinking like, that couldn't have been Jacob. I don't think that was Jacob. And so I kept driving a little bit, and it was like, I felt God really like speak, kind of. I don't know if you've ever like felt him like speak, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's been twice when he said, I know your heart, and turn around. Like, that was Jake, turn around.
Yeah.
And it's like this presence that you just like know is the Holy Spirit speaking to you. And so I turned around, popped a Huey, turned around, said, gotta go. And sure enough, at this point, the helicopter was landing. I'm calling my sister-in-law because I know in my heart that it was Jake.
Yeah.
I felt God, but I didn't pass him yet. And I was like, did Jake just get hit? Have you gotten a call? And my sister-in-law was like, turn around, Gina. Like, this, like, don't be on scene. Like, or they just like were trying to protect.
Oh, so she already knew.
She actually didn't know, but she was just like, hold on,
just in case,
pull over, or like, just let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I guess I still left them on the phone. I don't really know because I kind of blacked out, but helicopter's landing, and I'm just like, and at this point I see his car, like, and his car did not look good, so I didn't know what was going on. See this helicopter landing, I'm thinking the worst. So I pulled Jazz out of the car, and I'm just like screaming, running to the scene like a movie. And he ended up being okay, but yeah, someone T-boned him, and that was ultimately the accident that like ended his dream career. And so yeah, it was just another kind of traumatic thing that we had to tackle as a family, I guess. But at that point, like, that was, I kept saying like, I got it, I got whatever comes my way, I got it. And then that was kind of like the breaking point for me.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm not it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I can't handle this anymore. And so The next 2 years were pretty intense. We just, at that point, I closed my shop, so I didn't really have that to fall back to. I had 2 like young babies. I couldn't work. My husband's going through, ending his career and his dream. And I just remember being at this point and being like, okay, God, I'm open, because at this point I have nothing really like
We're at the bottom and
wrong.
yeah.
So like I'm gonna devote like the next, and it was kind of funny, but I've seen things like online too, like devote a year to God and just see what happens. Like fully devote yourself.
Sure.
And so we were at the slow. I couldn't figure out a way out. I was trying to like be the best I could be for everyone else. And I just like put everything towards my faith, and whether it's my devotional or whether it's driving, putting the babies in the back of the car and listening to a podcast or worshiping or all these things. And God definitely carried us through a lot of those valleys. And, I don't agree with like everything happens for a reason or, like little comments like that. But I do think God, allows the valleys and allows us to go through things because he really changes our hearts in those valleys. And like that's where the breakthrough happens, I feel like. And I feel like my faith would not be nearly as strong if I didn't see him carry me and pull me from all these graves. And if you remain steadfast in your faith with him, like you will be rewarded, and he will pull you out of it, even if it's just the reward of God giving you peace to get through the day, and at that point, like that's great, like help me make it. And so I devoted a lot of the last couple years to him, and he turned a lot around. Like again, still work in progress, but we got out of a situation I would have never thought we could have been in. Now have moved into like our dream house, and my husband got a new career that he like loves and adores, and it's perfect for our family. And I just feel like, and now I volunteer for Frederick. So Frederick, or where we live, I don't know if
that's fine.
Frederick. But there's a nonprofit that basically gives families, after they experience a loss, this basket to remember your baby, like a stamp pad, a teddy bear, stuff like that. It's a nonprofit group, but they serve 24 hospitals in the surrounding area.
Wow.
I want to say it's 24, around that. And there's also a note card with a group meeting in your area. So I help lead the Frederick location. And so it's like through Jordan's story, though I never wish that upon anyone, I am able to share a piece of my heart and help other families that are going through this too. And just like, there is light. You will make it. And like grief is so heavy, but it also, it defines you, but it also doesn't define you. And
that's a word.
Yeah. And I just think God's really used him, and he's made it very apparent and in our faith and in our lives. So
I think it's interesting you say that, grief doesn't define you. It can and it can't.
Right.
Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what's different with you is that, you let God define you, right? Like ultimately, my identity is there, my faith is there, my hope is there. And so like things might happen to me and might affect me and might throw me off. And, I was just at a conference last weekend, and the speaker was talking about Jesus in the storm, and she like had the whole arena. It was Bianca Olthoff, if you know who she is. Yeah. She like had the whole thing feel like a storm, like sounds and the screens and everything like that. And it like felt really real, but like, it's like all Jesus had to do is peace be still, 3 words, like, and everything ceases. And so it's like, even though it can affect you, it doesn't ultimately shatter you to like your core, because your core is with God. Yeah. Cause like people are going to hear your story and be like, how does someone survive an infant loss? A husband being a state trooper already is like stressful enough. Yeah. Then you drive by the accident that your husband is in. Right. He's not able to go, like, so what is your, like, where does that resolve? And you sit so confidently here, able to talk about it and share it. And like, so where does you mentioned Psalm 23, like, is it like scriptures, like what really,
So to be honest with you, like, yes, I'm confidently here now, but like, it wasn't always like that for sure. But I didn't just part of my faith story, like challenge God, like, God, show me, like,
inviting him in.
And oftentimes it's like, why me? Why this? Why that? And like, just because I'm confident now, like, doesn't mean that through all this I wasn't like, why? Like, God, I believe in you. I'm trying to live my life for you.
Right.
Like, why
What did I do wrong?
why are you giving me this? And then why can like people that are whacked out on drugs like have these perfect babies? All these thoughts definitely have been very apparent in my life. But then like, devoting myself to scripture and just like these are all promises of him. And even like Jesus being crucified, right? He's like a man of no sin, but he's still asking God, like, God, why have you forsaken me? Like, God knows that we're human and we're doubting. And I think that's like okay to still challenge God and make it apparent. And anyways, I did challenge God. And Psalm 23, like the big part of Psalm 23 is like, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. And it's like, okay, we're in the valley of the shadow of death. So death is surrounding us, right? And like my depression and my PTSD and all this stuff could easily like swallow me whole and eat me alive, right? But like, if I just follow God, the shepherd of a sheep, like we're a sheep, if I just follow God and he'll pull me from the grave, like I don't think he like, he doesn't give you what you can't handle. But more so he allows us to get through it because, of the process amongst the way of trusting him with, the valley surrounding us. So
when I heard a sermon on this recently, and they pointed out, so like in the first verse, the Lord is my shepherd, I have what I need, he lets me lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside quiet waters, he renews my life, he, like all of the pronouns are like him, they're distant pronouns, right? So it's like talking about somebody rather than talking to somebody,
right?
And even when I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, for you are with me. So it's like the pronouns change in the text. Like after I go through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, for you. It's not for he is with me. So it shows you that like God is a God of nearness.
Right.
And he's not a God of distant who like you just have to kind of like talk to him, but he's not really that close to you and just kind of hope he hears you. Like, no, he's a God of closeness. And the rest of it says, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they come for me. You prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. So like when I heard that, I was like, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true, because we don't really feel like, I don't know. I was thinking about it this morning with my own reading, and I was in Romans 8 actually. And I'm going to go there really quick. But I mean, I've had things that I was even talking about my own things, right? Like, and it's hard for me because like, I don't like to be super dramatic a lot of the time. Right. So to say that I've like suffered feels really extra. Like there's people who are dying, people who are losing babies, people who are in war-torn zones. And like, I'm frustrated with this small thing. That's not suffering. But then today I was like, you can't address what you don't like name. And so I feel like that's like a tactic of the enemy to just be like, you're not really suffering. Like you're fine. Like yours isn't as big as everybody else's. And that keeps you in captivity to it because you're not addressing it and you're not like whatever. So it was Romans 8:28, which can be a controversial verse sometimes, I feel like. We know that all things work together for the good of those who love God, who are called according to his purpose, because people hear it and think like everything happens for a reason, right? Which in the moment, if someone is grieving, don't tell them. Don't worry. Everything happens for a reason. Like even if you think that's true, even if you have the best intentions, cut it. But then the next verse, which I don't think anyone really talks about, says, for those he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, so that he would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. And those he called, he also justified. And those he justified, he also glorified. So like he makes things work together for good. He predestines us not for the purpose of like living a fun life, getting everything we want in life, having all of our plans work out the way that we want them to. He does it to conform us to the image of his son. So it's like, everything in your life is not to make you happy, right? It's not to live this pain-free life. Right. And like, what I always like to remember about suffering is that in the beginning, Genesis 1, like that wasn't God's initial plan. Like his initial plan was like for us to live in perfection with him forever.
Right.
God never wanted any of this stuff. Like he never wanted us to experience this.
Right.
He never wants you or like he doesn't delight in the fact that you lost your son. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he doesn't get this like weird satisfaction of like, ha ha ha, I'm like doing all these things, you know? But his grace lets you